or anybody in the company accepted a commission on any vehicle or equipment?
No, ma'am.
Right? Okay. And how about you, Casey?
Absolutely not.
No family?
No, in no way, shape, or form, excuse me.
May I just ask this when this going in? I think we're
And
getting.
now, why would you propose to buy a 641 pumper truck? 640, what's gonna cost, basically, it's gonna cost us $641,000. When we only have less than a $400,000 budget. Why would we do that? Financially. I'm just talking about, I'm
You
trying to
mean the
figure
one they
out.
already bought?
Pardon me?
One they already bought?
Yeah, the one that they bought 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Based on
$641,000.
what the committee decided to put on the vehicle.
Pardon me?
Based on what the committee decided to put on the vehicle.
So that's it. Wait, I have a question for Mr. Chief Wilms. Okay, your 990s, they indicate that you have secured mortgages and notes payable in the amount of $361,000. Can you advise me, what are those? Are those mortgages to mortgage the building?
Yes, they have.
Pardon me?
Yes, they have.
They've mortgaged the building. Now, what was the original mortgage for? And when was it?
A couple of years ago, I don't recall the original.
How many years ago?
There was a redo of our mortgage, where we took advantage of rates and stuff like that a couple of years ago. I couldn't tell you when the original one was completed.
You
Before I
refinanced,
was-
you refinanced.
Yeah, it was, we made better work of our assets and our expenditures. I could not tell you when the original one, that was well before I became part of the board, when that was originally done. I wish I had that in front of me. I didn't know that was gonna be a question. I'm sorry.
So then in
Well,
2008.
Can I just ask,
Can I
if I can interject?
Continue, wait, I'm almost done. In 2008, there was a $70,000 mortgage. Do you remember what that was for? You increased the mortgage from, say, 260 something to 361. 280 something to,
So you're asking the difference between the prior and the current mortgage?
no, on your 990s, it states that the mortgage increased from 280,000 to 361,000.
So you're looking at a difference between the two mortgages, is what you're looking at. The principal or the actual?
What was the 81,000?
Yeah, what do you
Actual
take
amounts
cash
of
out?
notes payable, so it either you refinance and got more money, or that might have been what, but I'm trying to find out where that $70,000 increase, where that
Several
went.
repair expenses to
The
the
building.
building. Several repair expenses to the
To
building.
the building.
What did you
The roof's
repair?
the floor, the roof's the floor, but here, look, Ms. Zendaya, here's my problem with this line of questioning. It goes to the fire company. And the fire company, we're not here to determine whether or not we're gonna dissolve the fire company. We're here to determine whether or not we're gonna dissolve the fire district. And the fire, but the fire company is a separate entity. And sincerely, I don't, unless you can somehow give me an offer as to how it is that's somehow going to relate to incurring liabilities by way of assuming the responsibilities of the fire district, I don't think that this line of questioning is proper.
Yes, no, this is important for us because the health of the fire company will come back onto us if we take over the district. Right now, we will need to incur the liability, we need to make sure that the fire company is healthy and that the, yes.
I don't see that.
I mean,
I don't see that the fire company is relying upon its health as on the district, nor will it necessarily be relying on its health as on the council. And if indeed that does happen, I'm sure whoever is sitting up here will step up at the time and take care of it. But, I mean, my concerns are more with respect to whether or not there's gonna be, I'm assuming there's gonna be some savings if we absorb the fire district. I wanna know how much that savings is gonna be, because I think the people who are, the taxpayers who are interested in knowing where their money is going, wants to know whether or not it could be spent more efficiently because of the times that we're living in. And quite frankly, if we weren't living in the times that we're living in, I don't think we'd be here right now. And the other interest I have is with respect to the transparency. And quite frankly, I'm joined with Mr. Diver. I don't think that the CoStar article did much justice on that issue, and it raised a lot of concerns in my mind, so.
Well, I just want to point out that the fact is that we have to qualify the fact that the $65,000 that the district pays to the company is largely getting eaten up by a mortgage. And we need to account for that, the fact that we might, if we take over, we might need to give them more money.
So is $65,000 enough, is $65,000 enough to handle the company's operating expenses and the payment of your mortgage on an annual basis, Mr. Williams?
You have it in front of you?
Along with your fundraising efforts?
I would have to say that, given our current expenses and our incomes, that 65,000 actually puts us behind,
By how much?
at least a couple $1,000.
Okay, so ballpark then, the 65 plus your fundraising is covering your expenses, and that includes payment on the mortgages and notes that you have outstanding?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
And there's still somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000.
That may need some adjustment. I
That's
understand.
correct.
We may just need to consider, if we're going to do this, that we might have to pay the fire company more than they're currently getting.
That's correct.
I think we discussed that before, going to 90, which is what it is now.
That's
The
the max
ceiling.
if we had.
Right, right. Any other council have a question?
I have no question. Maybe I would shove it up to anyone in the public as a question.
Question.
Comments will be later, but questions first.
Would anyone in the public like to
If you want to come up, I can give you a line up and come up to the microphone, identify
give us your
yourself.
name and address, please, and just ask the question? Go ahead.
Roberta Martin, 1708 Highway 71. My question is, you said there would be a savings of roughly $70,000.
Could be up to that much, yes.
Now, the town then will absorb VA taxes, 330,000.
We would get currently they raise $371,000 in taxes.
With what Christie, can they absorb that under what his percentage increase may be? Because it will be an increase in our taxes.
Well, they would adjust, our rate cap would be adjusted based upon the assumption of these current taxes, as would our current expenditures, and then the 2% would be applied to the overall new balance number, which DCA will give us after they determine how much we're gonna have to pay, what expenses are going to not exist anymore, what are gonna have to be borne by the township, or by the borough. We would get the money, we would get the surplus, if there's surplus around, we would incur the LoTAP obligation, and the auditor will help us properly finance that. Some of the free balance, there could be other things done, and the borough might make some additional money on investing some of it.
Basically,
But some of the people in town are under the impression that the money that we're paying, roughly $400 a year, will no longer be. But it basically will, because it will be in the.
It will be in
the
our
borough
budget.
Less,
So basically,
less whatever,
It will be
we're
in
not
our
gonna
budget.
expend
That's
that.
whatever.
One year, it won't happen. The following year, whatever reductions we have would be a reduction in that rate in the future.
because
budgets are
people are
complete.
under the impression that they will no longer be charged that amount of money.
Would be subsumed into the other costs. We can't walk away from the
budgets are complete.
obligations.
The budget is complete, both
Yeah.
budget, our budget's complete
Yes,
and
I
their budget's
understand.
complete. And
But
so
if they-
theirs and a corresponding tax rate comes into our budget, and then we administer it.
But what she's saying
But
is that
for
people in
next
town
year-
think they're not gonna have to pay anything for the fire district,
Or
company,
fire
whatever,
company.
and that's not true. They're still gonna have to pay for everything, only we'd be paying for it out of,
All right.
With,
Thank
with somewhat less overhead.
yeah,
So-
thank you, Bobby. Would anyone else like to ask a question? Go ahead, John, come on up, please, just come up to the mic, I don't need to recognize you.
John Lewis, 574 Prospect Avenue.
These questions.
Question, just a question.
Just a question, yeah, I'd like to ask Mr. Gretz if he would turn to page 10 of the 2011 Fire District budget. it seems to me that there's $107,133 on there that seems excessive for truck payments. And I'd just like to know, after he takes a look at that number, if he thinks that that is a fair and accurate number for what was put in the budget in 2011. Page 10, 2011 budget. At the bottom, 107,133.
Debt service.
That's principal and interest payments on the two trucks.
And principal,
Interest in principal on what?
Two trucks.
on 2 trucks,
On 2 trucks.
that's correct.
Okay, the Borough Council, you have a packet. When you walked in tonight, there were about 3 or 4 pieces of paper I gave you. And the 2 trucks are a 2002 pumper and a 2008 pumper.
John, did you give me something?
This is what you're talking about, John?
It's, well, let's see, the first one we'll start out with.
John, this is the page.
It says 2001 on it.
It says
You have a page that says 2001 budget message. And in that budget message, they asked for in 2001 budget, they asked for a capital, reflects a capital of $45,000. And after that page of the budget message is the actual budget for 2001, which shows an appropriation of $45,000 for the 2002 fire truck they bought.
The pumper.
So are we looking at
Yes.
2001?
Yes.
$45,000. Okay, take your fingers. 2001, $45,000 down payment, 10 payments. 2002, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 2010, all the 43,000s are paid. And if you want to look further in that packet that I gave you, right up until 2010, that $45,000 is carried in their restricted fund balance. You know, the $45,000 they put in to buy that truck in 2001 has been carried every year in their restricted fund balance as a portion of the payment to pay that truck. Yet, what's being done is, there's $43,000, he just said, has to be in the budget for 2011, and the $45,000 is still in the restricted budget. So they didn't need to put $43,000 in this year's budget, they just needed to use the $45,000 they put in 2001 to make the last payment.
So.
Making the question, isn't that true?
Right.
We're making a question, isn't that true?
Oh,
And I don't know whether that's a fair question for anybody that's up here, but, and to the extent that you can understand the question. I mean,
Now,
I
I'm sorry
follow.
here's what happened in the 2010 budget. In 2010, the restricted portion now says $78,600. In a 2010 budget, that would be, I don't know if anybody would have that, but I gave you a copy of it earlier.
That's in the 2009 order. Right?
Now, this $78,600 represents the $45,000 they put in 2001, and the difference, and we could get to that during another comment session, of the $73,500 they took when they bought this latest truck.
Okay, John, what is your question though?
My question is to Mr. Gretz, did he need to put $43,500 in the budget this year to pay off the 2002? My answer is no, he did not. And this is the real problem here, is that you can write down anything you want in this budget and put it in a February election, and it gets passed. That $43,000 this year was going to go right into reserve fund. I mean, I imagine that. I mean, that's the good part, if that's where it was.
Walter, do you want to answer his question?
I don't know where you're going.
Okay, here, you need to see something? You can make copies of these if you like.
Does anyone else have a question?
Here's the 2001 resolution.
Evelyn Cadello, 807 Park Avenue.
My question
Here's the
is,
45,000 and
newspapers have reported we
2,001
have
that you put in.
I'm sorry, would you speak into the mic?
have $147,000 that we
2010.
don't have, or money that we are short in some line account. The question is, do we have the money? And I know as a taxpayer and as people, seniors, representing a lot of seniors in town, their money's not increasing. We've gone through this on numerous occasions. It is, I applaud what you're doing in questioning. I think that you have to question a lot more. No one questions our fire company's dedication. I know Casey.
But Evelyn, do you have a question?
I have a question. Is this going to be questioned more? And are they postponing? Because you never voted whether it was going to be postponed or not.
It was withdrawn.
Okay, so, but there's no decision on when it's going to be
Not yet.
reissued.
We'd like to hear from everybody first. Would anyone else like to ask a question? John,
I have a question.
just comments now? That's one
Sure,
question.
any public comments?
Would anyone like to comment? Just state your name and address.
My name is Anne Marie Nadrowski, 2003 Avenue, Spring Heights. Sorry.
Not turned on.
You have to speak right into it.
Put your lips almost next to it.
It's okay.
Get Scotty to
Relax, relax.
Not a flash guy.
I have lived in this town for 27 years. I would like to ask everyone here behind me, have they ever had to call the fire department for a real emergency? Anyone?
Can't hear.
Can't hear you.
Has
Some
anybody
people
called
have.
the fire department for an emergency?
Has anyone called the fire department for a real dire emergency?
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Real one.
But I know people have.
16 years ago, I made that call. I lost my home, my entire home, to a fire. My 3 children lost everything to a fire. I stand here tonight to say that I have never been so proud to live in this town. The police, the fire, the first aid came to help me. They treated not only my home, but my family as if it was one of their own. And I didn't know any one of those people, not one. Each fireman went in and out of that house to try and save a picture, to try and save a blanket that my 4-year-old went to bed with every night. They combed the streets looking for the family cat. They carried out their parakeet and buried it in the yard, okay?
No.
These men and women did it for me. They didn't know me. It's not a job to them, it's passion. I asked the reason why we're here tonight. It's the dirty dollar, okay? And I know I work 2 jobs. My husband protects the county of Monmouth, okay? Every single day. But I want to say, it's not broken. Why are we trying to fix something that's not broken, okay, for a couple of dollars? I'm asking if everyone could please stop and think what's really important in life. And to me, it's the reassurance that 365 days a year, 24/7, that I know I can call and that they will be there to protect my family. To me, life is important, and to me, that's priceless.
Thank you very much.
Jim Merriman, Assistant Chief, Spring Lake Heights. I walked around for the past week with a petition to save the fire district.
Fire district.
Fire district. In doing so, I spoke to many, many of the taxpayers in this town. A lot of them laughed when we informed them that it costs an average homeowner in Spring Lake Heights $147 a year. The best comment I heard was from a man who signed our petition, looked at me and said, I spend that much on cigarettes in 2 weeks. We're not talking about hiding any money because it is all regulated by the state of New Jersey. If John has complaints about what gets rolled over, that gets used to bring the tax rate down. I think we've got about 600 signatures on petitions. And most of the people we have asked or walked by, they wanted to sign it. We never asked them. And to inform you, there's probably about 10% on John's petitions who've said they were hooty-wingled. People were told it's to save the fire company, it's for this, it's for that. All I'm telling you is that most of the people in this town support a fire district. You asked Mrs. Cynthia. I stutter sometimes, but I still am not afraid to stand up and talk. You asked about a ladder truck. Do you have children? You do. Okay. Let's say all of a sudden one of your kids decides one day he wants to join this illustrious organization. And I'm the chief. And we've got a working structure in Fairway Mews. As I said before, Fairway Mews is nothing but roof trusses. Do you know what happens when a roof truss burns?
I think that the reason why
No, I'm asking you a question, ma'am.
but each of your pumpers, do they have ladders?
No. Yeah, they have ladders. I'm asking you, do you know what happens when a roof truss burns?
We have a 32-foot requirement in our town.
You're not answering- you're not
The question about the ladder
answering-
truck was that it was a 100-foot ladder truck.
You're not answering my question.
Yeah, but in fairness, sir, this is public comment, not cross-examine the council.
No,
It's public.
okay,
Make
I
your
will
comment,
inform
please.
you then. When a roof truss burns, it's not like a normal roof. The whole thing just goes bang. Now, if I put a regular roof ladder on a roof, what happens to the poor guys on the roof? They go into the fire. With that tower ladder, I set it up. If I have a problem and the roof goes down, I'm locked in. And up I go. When Mrs. Nadraski's house burned, that's exactly what we did. We cut a hole in the roof so guys could see and put the fire out. These are not toys. We did not buy them because we wanted a new, shiny fire truck. We bought it because it's a needed piece of equipment. When we first bought that truck, we're the only fire department in southern Monmouth County that had a tower ladder. And guess what now? 95% of the fire departments in Monmouth County are going for tower ladders because it is the most efficient and safest way to operate at a fire. You have a feeling of 32 feet height. That's great.
No, Mr. Merriman, my problem was not that. It was the fact that it was voted down by the public and then was put on the district.
No, ma'am, it was passed once and someone came into the firehouse threatening to sue them. It was passed by the voters and he threatened to sue the board if they did not renege on it. And then he went around and lied to everybody and told these people that it was going to cost them $100,000 a year. So all I'm telling you is that most of these people in this town think it's really a joke that you want to dissolve something that costs half of what your tax rate is going up this year.
Can we wrap it up?
Thank you, Jim. Casey, would you like to present